Hi, welcome back to the Watchung Booksellers Podcast, where we bring you conversations from our bookstore's vast community of book professionals who talk about what they do for the love of books. We're so happy to be with you. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kathryn, and I'm here with my co-producer, Marnie. Hey, Marnie.
Hey, Kathryn.
And today we are talking about author events.
Yeah, our guests today are Margot Cece, who ran the store for over 30 years, Aubrey Cece, who's the kids' room manager and our children's event planner, and Kathryn Counsell, who's not only our podcast co-producer, she also records and edits the podcast, and she's also the director of events and communications for the bookstore.
Yeah, well, we all wear a lot of hats here, but event planning was my first job here, and it does take a lot of us to make these events happen. So I'm excited to share the talk I had with Margot and Aubrey, and let you guys know how the sausage gets made here. But first, though, Marnie, do you have a book pick this week?
I do. We are doing an event with Bobby Brown this coming Friday, the 19th. And I'm reading her memoir. It's called Still Bobby, and it's a really great account of her life and her story, and I highly recommend it. And you should come to the event. It's going to be great.
Yeah. There are two separate types of tickets. You can get VIP tickets where you can come an hour early and meet Bobby and take photos. And then everybody will get a signed book with the event, but also afterward, Jones Road is having a little pop-up makeup session. So anybody who comes can sample the products and get a quick makeup tutorial before they head out for the evening.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
How about you, Kathryn? What are you reading?
Well, I just picked up All the Way to the River by Elizabeth Gilbert. And even though I've kind of followed her, her Substack, her interviews, and I kind of know the story of what's happened with her in the last, 5-10 years. But I really do love her writing and her sincerity and her humor. And I'm excited to take a deep dive into this book. I think it's really going to be good.
It's supposed to be great.
Yeah.
I want to read it as well. Okay, let's introduce our guests and get on to the conversation. Aubrey Cece is the kids' room manager, children's book and gift buyer, and the children's author event planner. She's a born creative with the love of everything books and art. Her favorite color is lime green, and her creative touch shows all throughout the store. You almost never see her without a pair of Converse on her feet, and when you talk to her, she'll welcome you into a story about her family while she finds the perfect book for you and your child. She's passionate about children's mental health and LGBTQ issues.
That's right. She also runs 2 or 3 of our book clubs here.
Yeah. She's a very serious reader.
She makes use of her time, for sure. And also in the conversation is Margot Cece, who was born and raised outside of Boston, Massachusetts, and earned her BA from Barnard College and arrived in Montclair after the usual Upper West Side, Brooklyn route in 1990. Embraced by a community of spirited souls passionate about art, politics, social justice, and literacy, Margot created Great Owl Books, a mail-order catalog of multicultural children's books, and folded that into Watchung Booksellers in 1996. She has spent 3 decades growing this community bookstore with the help of amazing booksellers, devoted readers, and a supportive family. Margot is now semi-retired, and she totes her grandchildren around town. She has 2 new grandbabies, by the way, and she is again pursuing sculpture.
And Kathryn Counsell is our director of author events and communications at Watchung Booksellers, as well as a co-creator and co-host of the Watchung Booksellers Podcast. Born a Hoosier, she made her way to New York and worked in marketing at several publishing houses before transitioning to the bookselling side of the book world. She has lived in Montclair, New Jersey for over a decade and loves walking her dog Millie to the bookstore.
Enjoy the conversation, and we'll be back afterwards to tell you what's coming up in the store.
Hi, I'm Aubrey.
Hi, I'm Kathryn. You might recognize me.
And hi, I'm Margot.
So, this is our events crew. Although everybody in the store is part of the crew. Everybody has to pitch in some way or another. But we thought it would be kind of fun today to talk about how we put events together for authors and why we do it, and I guess why we love having them at the store.
Yep.
But maybe Margot first, since you have been the originator of all the events for 30 plus years, maybe you could start and tell us how you started and why you started doing it at the bookstore.
Well, first of all, Kathryn, it's great to have you on this side of the podcast. Usually you're running everything.
I'm weirdly a little nervous. I know. That's funny.
No need to be. So we felt when we started the bookstore that it was really important to promote our local authors. And 30 years ago, there were about 10 in town. Yeah. And now it's like exponential. If last count, it was over 90, but I think even with the kids authors, it's like more. But
I'm sure well over that.
Yeah. Because we felt very strongly that we should always promote the talent from within. This is an amazing community that we had all these authors here, and give friends and family an opportunity to celebrate their author, but also to invite the community in to come in. And then you can address, Aubrey, that like kids story time, that's all about promoting literacy to kids as well as, warm and fuzzy activities.
Definitely having something for the community.
Yeah. It's really grown wonderfully. And, what started off just being our local people, we have so many connections within the publishing community, from author to author, from editor to author, from, publisher to author, that we have been able to bring in some really important people and have really probing discussions, which is always exciting, and fun events.
Yeah. So I will jump in to give my little backstory. Well, you and I started talking like in February of 2020.
Yeah.
A former bookseller here, Deirdre, she said, they might be hiring someone to help the events. And I was like, that would be great. And so I got in touch with you and you're like, yeah, I've just got my plates full, as it always is. And we started talking, and then guess what happened? Global pandemic. And not only were there no events, we weren't sure if there would be nothing. We weren't sure if there would be a bookstore the next week. It just was that crazy. So we sort of tabled it for a minute, but I kind of kept sending an email here and there. I really want to do this if we can, And then you're like, you know what? We do. We have like 4 authors that are local, and then we really need to.
That we had already scheduled.
We'd already scheduled.
And we want to honor them.
Yeah. And can you figure out a way to do this virtually? And I was like, of course I can, not knowing a thing about doing this virtually. But dove right in, learned, talked a lot with Katrina Browning, who used to, and still kind of does some stuff for the Montclair Lit Fest, because they were in the same boat. They'd already planned a lot of events that they had to come through with. Yep. So we learned how to do this virtually. And it really, for me, was kind of going back to my television production days in college.
That's what it felt like,
yeah. Like where, you had like, it was sort of like a dual camera, and making sure the audio was right, and making sure, all of these elements. And you're usually dealing with authors who are not always the most tech savvy people.
Correct.
A lot of them were like, I just, I show up for the book event. I don't really have to worry about how my hair looks and whether the background has a laundry basket in it, or, it just became this whole different element of event planning.
Plus, it was also difficult to not have an audience to bounce off of.
Yeah.
Like no one's nodding or smiling. You have no idea. You're talking
energy,
about, talking about your book that you love, and where is it going?
Right.
I think we had comments, right, on the side.
Right.
Yeah, but that it wasn't the same. But still, it was an amazing opportunity for us to reach our readers.
Yeah.
And they were grateful.
It was great. And I went to a lot of events that weren't even ours. And one, to study how they were doing it, but also just to feel connected to the rest of the world. Like it was such an isolating time.
Yeah.
And anyway, but that was my story. That's how I walked into it. And then we transitioned into in-person again. And then
I know. How do we transition back into in-person? We didn't have any kids events. We couldn't do that.
No.
We had I think everyone had to wear masks. We must have limited the audience.
We did. We had like
they were also
seats in between.
Yeah,
and
it was. Oh my God.
We were trying to do some hybrid things.
Yeah.
And we did start doing outdoor story times.
Oh, right.
That's how we started
There we
back
go.
with story time.
And that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. But speaking of story times, we can talk more about pandemic good times. But let's get Aubrey in here who talks about what she does.
When I was brought on to be part of the kids' room team, Watchung Booksellers had already been doing story times and having authors in. So it was like a natural thing. I just ended up taking over doing that job, actually. And
but you made it more of,
you
made it more of a, I don't want to call it a program, but it was something like families could count on. They would know Sunday afternoons they could come.
Yeah, I continue to try and do that, to have it consistently so people can, if they can't make it this week, it'll still be there. You know, there'll be another option next week. So hopefully.
Yeah.
And really, when we built the kids' room was when we were able to really make something consistent.
Exactly.
Having the dedicated space.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fantastic for the adult events too, to be able to have a dedicated room
that we could fit 80 people in, where everyone could see each other, as opposed to our little L-shaped number that we were doing.
Fire hazard that maybe we were having. But as Margot was saying, you really built a program out of it, and not just the Sunday afternoon author story time, but the Monday morning story time for the little kids, building out the book clubs. And I know you're not doing all of those things, but you are managing it.
Yes.
I wish I could do more, to be honest.
Yeah.
There are so many ideas that I would love to do, but I just don't have the time to do it. But hopefully I'll continue to add more programming.
Right. Well, we were just talking about this in a meeting earlier, that we all wear 6 different hats.
Yeah.
And that's how the business runs. And we say we're the events people, but I mean,
we're essentially booksellers.
We're booksellers, and we also every event we need at least 2 people there, and we count on the other booksellers too to really jump in and then help promote it when they're at the desk. They have to promote the events and talk about it and field the phone calls and handle all the weird back end registration logistics, and so it really is a team effort.
Yes, definitely.
Well, let's talk about the kind of events we plan. As Margot was saying, it's like it used to be a very kind of an easy thing to do.
Yeah, we were more able to handle it when it was small and it was just us. And then I did most of the events by myself, and I could because they were much smaller. Right. But then they grew, and
publishers would reach out, or an author who lived in town might stop by and say, would you?
Yeah, it was a lot easier when we knew who the authors were. They would come in and introduce themselves. When their books come out, great, we'll plan an event. It'll be wonderful. And then we started getting more requests. The publishers also have this grid system where they were encouraging us to fill out requests for authors to come. And that's kind of where we would get, nationally known authors when we could. But really, for the most part, it's from our reputation that we get the authors, friends of friends, or the publishers who know us and want to know. They know they need a platform and that we're a good place to have that.
Right. And, we're 12 miles outside of New York City.
Plus, we also have the best audience.
We have a very literary town.
Our people love to read. Yeah. They love to write. They love to connect with authors. They like the author talks. Like we not to jump into the content, but it's not just about their work themselves, but it's often about their process and how they get things and how it started and the spark of an idea to a book. Like all the things that you want to learn about. Like you want to enjoy the book and read it and have fun with it or learn from it, but you want to get something from the author about how it all happened. And they're very intimate. I mean, even in the larger settings, but I find the talks very intimate and personal.
Very much.
And,
yeah. And you're probably having one a week, maybe.
Yeah.
Or if that.
And
then so 20 years later, 25 years later, we have
like over 200 events a year.
Yeah. 25 years later, so we're building a literary festival. The library is having the Open Book, Open Mind, and we become a partner in all of those events. And there are, as you said, now we have over 100 authors in town.
Yep.
And that's
plus,
just in town.
That's
That's
just
not
in
counting
town.
all
Yeah.
of the little all of the towns
the
surround-
greater
yeah,
Montclair area.
Yeah. And so the process really has changed.
Yeah.
We're still a store. We're 2 stores, but we're still a staff of 10 to 15 people at any
Right.
given time. And it's as much as we would love to have grown exponentially as in the same way that the demand for authors has. We are still one business that's trying to do it all. So the selection process gets a little different.
Yeah.
And, and then we still want to honor that tradition of supporting your local authors. So we're
Right.
always trying to find the best way that we can do it all.
I mean, the reality also is that it's a business and we need to sell books to support the event. And I think when we all met, was that 2 years ago? Not even, where we realized, kind of put our numbers together and realized it actually costs about $300 to put an event on.
Yeah.
And that's like just staffing the event, not even talking about publicity and all the preparation and everything. So we have to break even. Otherwise, we're not going to be here any longer.
Yeah.
Plus, the authors need to sell books because, that's their livelihood.
Right,
So it
right.
is kind of hand in hand. And and all our readers that come in have been very supportive. And really, even on Sundays, like you can have a room full of 50 kids, which what translates to maybe 20, not even 20 families, which means not everyone's going to buy a book.
Right,
but,
which means maybe
yeah.
selling 7 copies, maybe.
And so it's a lot of effort for us, but again, it reaches out to our customers. It supports our authors. It's,
Right.
It really, I think, satisfies the mission of the bookstore.
And it builds community. People, if they came for that event and maybe they didn't buy a book, maybe they'll come in next week because they like it. And also, that author that has now gotten some more marketing behind them. We can push the book out front. It just, that marketing tail, as you always say, is a long tail.
Yeah. And children's books, signed books are a big draw. They make great gifts or
very special gifts. Yeah. And then you add them to the book fairs, which then helps promote the authors with an audience who might not have heard about them before. So, yeah.
So we get so many requests. Maybe we could just talk a little bit about how we have to determine what we say yes to.
Yeah.
I know.
And
And this is always tricky because every time I feel like we talk about this, we are the bad guys. And I don't want to be a bad guy for ever saying no to somebody.
I know.
But sometimes it's not
well,
good
if we said yes to everything, we would have a completely different kind of business. And we would have an event multiple times a day. And, it's just like, exponentially adding on top of everything. It would just be way too much.
Right.
So.
And I think our readers look to us to vet books. So we can't just have anybody come in. It's like you really need to look at the book and see, do we have an audience? Is this the kind of book our readers want? Is it the kind of book we want to introduce to our readers? So there's that as well. And then going back to the business of books, self-published books are very, very difficult for us to handle because they are usually a financial loss for us to have an event with a self-published book.
And why is that so much?
Because the author is usually selling the book directly, and whatever company they're getting the books from is charging them a lot. So then for us to add on whatever markup to cover our costs makes the book outrageously expensive, like a paperback book for $25. That's like, we can't sell that to our people unless it's some, amazing thing. And then just the back and forth of ordering the books, getting the books, sending them back. I mean,
there's a lot of expenses.
And it's with the publishers, there are systems. It's more streamlined for us to get and then return books that don't sell. It's just, it adds, we always call it this is the 2% business. Like we're only going to make so much profit. And if we do, to gain that 2%, we've got to streamline as much as possible.
Right.
and get it in. So yes, it's a shame. There are sometimes people we have to say no to because it just is not feasible.
Yeah.
And then there are also very specific topics that might not work here.
Recently, we got a request for a cookbook from a pretty well-known celebrity, but it was
A single topic cookbook.
Yeah,
that was
wasn't
very expensive.
very expensive. Was not going to bring in our normal audience.
Right.
And there's nothing worse than having an event where you have one or two people show
Yeah,
up.
that is
And that is
so horrible.
It's terrible for us. It's terrible for the author.
Yeah.
It's not good for anybody.
Yeah.
So like sometimes we have to make those decisions, even if the book itself is great. We're just maybe not the right fit.
Right. And then there's the other aspect. There are some books that we do want to help support, but we're not sure if we can build the audience or like, especially for an evening event. That means our readers have to commit, or even Sunday afternoons. They're committing an hour or two, getting here, settling down, leaving the event. It's an hour or two commitment. So we have been trying to do more what we call meet and greets, where an author will sit in the store for an hour or so. People can come in and chat casually, get books signed, and it's a much less pressured event that we can put on. And that works for some books.
Yeah, I think we have tried to be creative to still support authors as best we can. And also I think there's a misconception that events that's the one thing you get, and that it's going to be that from your bookstore that's really going to sell your book. And it's just one arm of the marketing octopus out there.
Exactly.
It is one thing, but if you come in and you're nice to your booksellers and you and they like you and they've liked your work, they will hand sell it for you. And you don't necessarily need an event to sell your book.
Right.
So I think there is a little bit of over hopefulness that event's going to be everything to you.
Right. It's a great introduction.
Yeah.
It's great to our readers, great introduction to the larger staff. And it does put people on the radar. But really, yes, just coming by and introducing yourself to the staff and talking about your books and offering to sign stock, that sometimes works just enough.
Right. Yes. How about you, Aubrey? What is your process for bringing in a title?
A lot of it is about the book. It's, if it's a good book, if it's a diverse title, I like to bring them in. Sometimes I try to block out days if there's like a long 3-day weekend, but then a good book comes in and I'm like, you know what? I'd rather have the authors come and maybe have a smaller audience than not showing the support towards this book that I feel good about.
Yeah. No, I think the kids they've got 2 activity events. They have got 2 book groups. They've got
we have early
Sunday
chapter book club, middle reader book club, Sunday afternoon story time. We're starting Saturday afternoon story time.
Wow.
The baby toddler story time. We do crafts and tales. And then some other one-offs like Mousetown Camp and some other things like that we have also planning in the back of our heads,
That's a tremendous amount of activity coming from the kids' room. That's great.
And that's just the kids' side. So then we throw in 2 author events or a signing and then we're squeezing in here to do the podcast.
Yep.
we make a lot of use out of this one little space. Yeah.
Which is why we're also really grateful to our outside partners. Absolutely. So Dave Jones and Jennifer Dorr started the Montclair Public Library's Open Book, Open Mind as kind of a 92nd Street Y style of event. And it was such a great opportunity for their patrons and a wonderful opportunity for us. Like we could help, we can help promote their events and suggest authors, but really they built this great program. What do they have? 6 events a year, and they usually are sold out, full room, and then we're we can sell the books to support the authors, because the authors come for free. That's the other thing.
Yes.
Is the authors are like, donating their time. Yes, it's promoting their book, but it's still it's their time and their energy.
Yeah, and
it's
that's a lot of authors aren't local. They are
right. They come from out of town. Yep.
Yeah.
And then Succeed Together started the Montclair Literary Festival. That's been a very exciting community event to get involved in. And it's usually based around 1 to 2 festival days in the spring. And they bring like 40 authors together. They're usually panel discussions centered around an idea. I always called it a thought festival because you come out of these panel discussions like, your mind is exploding with all these great ideas that people talked about. But, and then there are, featured authors that are big name authors whose books are just coming out. So they're, on the tour promoting. So that's been great. And then, oh my God, the list goes on in terms of all the groups in town. We've got out Montclair that we've done great events with, the Latinx community, great events. And AAPI, we've done amazing events with. Yep, the public schools. Well, that's the other aspect of what you handle out of the kids' room, are the author visits to schools. Also,
luckily, Caroline and I team up. So she does the school events, because otherwise, neither of us would be able to do all of it together.
That's very involved.
But not just Montclair Public Schools, but a lot of the surrounding towns also come to us looking for authors, or we reach out to them with authors.
Yeah.
We've also done stuff with Montclair State and with Montclair Film.
Right.
And
great partner, Montclair
And then we
Film.
have a lot of civic and religious organizations we've done things with, or even, rented their space when we've had an event that's gotten so big that we've had to get a bigger space.
Yeah.
So we're very entrenched with, I feel like, everybody in this. We want to be.
Hope we're entrenched with everybody.
I mean, we want to be a part. I don't know. We want you to think of us when you're like, oh, we'd like to have an author here, or we'd like to have a book here. How can we want to help? We'd like to do that. So.
That's great. I also want to say personally for me, because people always say, God, you're always here at each event, the outside events. And I said, and even here in the store where you and I cover each other just in case we can't come, but for the most part, we're always here. But I realize that everyone's time is overprescribed, and if I wasn't working here, I may not show up at all of these events. Maybe a handful, but it is such a privilege to be at these events and hear the energy and the love of the work, and hear it and seeing people in the community get together. It's just personally, I get a lot out of it personally as well. So I'm really grateful for that.
Has there been an author you've been like starstruck, kind of like, oh my God, I can't believe we got that author, and I'm kind of nervous around them, or
oh, that's interesting. I was kind of busy myself, so I'm not nervous around them,
right?
But I am. I mean, we were there with our AI conversation.
Oh, the George Musser.
Yeah.
And
and I'm like, whoa, what are they talking about? It was fascinating. And I didn't understand it, but it like really made me want to read the book and really grapple with that whole issue. So in that way I get starstruck.
Right. I mean, Hillary Clinton, you had to be a little starstruck.
Oh yes, right? Hillary. But I have to say the preparation for it, like the FBI and the security coming in, and they put shades up so that the sniper couldn't get her. I mean, it was like that took up most of the energy. And she was so kind and so warm. Right. And as an audience in general, we were very weepy because it was post-election and she hadn't won, and we had 1,000 people.
I think you sold 1,000 tickets in like a day. I think.
Oh, I think it was 45 minutes, Kathryn.
That's right. It was very, I happened to be sitting there on my phone. This is before I worked here. And I was like, bing, bing, bing. Oh my God, I got 2 tickets. I can't believe it.
I know. That was amazing. Of course, the other amazing event, which I think is so funny because people still bring it up, is our last Harry Potter midnight block party outside. That was like, people are still bringing it up. And that was totally magical. That was like.
What about you, Aubrey? Anybody you were starstruck? Or
well, I try to just convince myself that they're normal people too.
Yes.
So I don't make a fool of myself. Going to a bunch of different conferences and meeting a whole lot of authors. I usually do just end up saying the same thing. We love you. You're our favorite.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, every author is our favorite.
Well, they are for that moment.
Right. But
there is very fangirl aspect of.
Definitely. I try to tone it down though. Although in the beginning I was trying to get like a selfie with everybody. I also stopped doing that.
I think I've stopped doing that too. I do. On occasion I do. Yeah.
Well, we just had the Langs come for Grumpy Monkey.
Oh,
that was great
great
because the excitement around them, that was a big event and it was just a lot of fun. Overwhelmingly crazy, but it was a lot of fun.
And that was a hard audience because they were young.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the parents and the young kids. But they were great. They connected with the kids. They got the kids involved in the event. It was. Yeah.
I have to say, when we had Philippa Sue and her sister-in-law for Piper Chen, they were so great with their interactions with the kids, spending time fielding all of the Hamilton questions, of course. You know, it was like, but they were so lovely and so generous. And also Andrew Larson, we only ended up having like one person show up for the event, which was unfortunate, but he and I spent a lot of time just talking and he was so lovely. Yeah. And I am really looking forward to his next book coming out, Call Me Gray. And I guess that's another way of like, after you meet some of these authors, finding out what's coming out next and being excited for them. And
and sometimes, like that book has sold well, right?
Mm-hmm. Gifts from the garbage truck.
Yes.
Yeah. So sometimes it's not the book or the author. It's just either the timing or the school surprised us with curriculum night on that night, and nobody could, attendance could be low. So we always kind of have a gamble. It's always a bit of a crapshoot every time.
Well, and especially the kids events, we don't require registration. We like to have registrants because then we can kind of get an idea, but we understand with kids it's hard. There's somebody gets sick, somebody has a late nap, somebody just is having a bad day, and so they're not going to show up, or all of a sudden they're like, oh, I have the free time. Okay, we will go. Yeah. So, we don't always know how many people to expect. So, so I'm always thankful for anyone who comes. Yeah. and even if it is a smaller audience, like I feel like in some ways that can be really special sometimes.
Yes, to the kids who actually are there.
I've seen a lot of these small connections of the authors and just talking to a couple kids, and it's really lovely.
I have to say, over the years, whenever we've had children's authors, it is so amazing to me that our kids know what an author is and are like astounded to meet an author who actually produced this book. They revere them. They're fans. I mean, it's really exciting and very gratifying for the author or illustrator who comes in.
The team of Maddie Mara, the Forever Fairies, like all the kids that came there were super excited. And they came from Australia to visit us. And the excitement was palpable. They were like, wait a minute, this author is actually 2 people? Like this.
Yeah.
It was really exciting.
So great.
I grew up in a very small town in southern Indiana. And we didn't have a bookstore for, for the nearest mall was like an hour away. And we used the library and the bookmobile all the time. But I mean, I would have never, ever dreamed of meeting an author. That just was like, just strange and
otherworldly.
And I hadn't been taught that this is how books are made and this is how publishing works and this is how people create. And
yes, you too can grow up and be an author, illustrator.
If you've got something to say, use your voice, get out there and say it, and I just think I feel like it's such a privilege still to get to meet people. At the end of the day, I want to say to every author, kind of like, you wrote a book. Give yourself a pat on the back. You wrote a book. Like, who cares what whoever reviewed it or whatever? You did it, and I'm proud of you. And we're going to do our best,
amazing.
To make it so.
So, do you have any dream events you could imagine planning?
Well, we pitch for him every now and then.
Right. I was very proud of being able to bring Trevor Noah here and that we had an audience of 1,000 people. That was great. And it was a great interview.
Kindy twice.
Yes.
Has been you brought him the first time pre-pandemic and then his
actually
publisher.
It was Montclair Film that brought him.
Oh, right.
And they called us, which is really, I really appreciated that they brought us in. And then, now the publisher came to us because they knew we had the audience that wanted to hear from him.
And that was maybe an author I was a little starstruck.
Yes.
But loved meeting him. My gosh. I mean,
I know. But it's true. As Aubrey said, they are human beings. And they want people to read and buy their books. And
and so kind. It's really like most of the authors we've met have always been so kind and easy to work with. And, and we just appreciate so much that, especially the bigger name authors, that they'll still support their local, community bookstore. It's really, it says a lot about your character, I think.
Yeah. And I think they also realize, speaking to, your whole experience with no one showing up or, one kid showing up, but that then there's a whole relationship developed between you and the author. And then you pass that on to the staff. And smart authors know that that's how you build an audience. Right. Because, we can have an event and we can sell 60 books and never sell one right after that. Mm-hmm. But if they've made a connection with us and, we learn so much about their book. Every time someone comes in for months afterwards, we will recommend that book.
Right. Yeah. Who was your dream event?
Well, when I was taking my class for event planning, actually, yes, there's a class that you can learn all about this. I had to do a project on it, and I chose Oliver Jeffers. Of course, he's one I would love to bring in. But Scott Stewart is an Australian author. He wrote My Shadow is Pink, My Shadow is Purple, just came out recently with My Shadow is Blue, among many other books. And I would love to bring him in, if possible, if you're listening.
That would be great. But tell us about your class, because I know we were so excited that you went, and because as Kathryn said, we've been kind of winging it for the last 30 years. So I still feel
like we're winging it though, because it's an interesting thing to try and teach, because every bookstore is so unique, and our experience is not like any other bookstore anywhere else. Mm-hmm. So, the bits and pieces that you can kind of take and use, it was interesting. A lot of it was like, organization. Yeah. That was kind of a lot of stuff is kept in Margot's head, and we're like, we need to get it down on paper.
Well, I think we've had this conversation.
We have Google Docs now.
I think if we go back to the episode where Margot and transferred the store to Maddie, she had the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, everything was written down in a little
notebook. My little paper spreadsheets that Maddie's still laughing about. I don't care. I had the information for 30 years, so there.
It worked.
It worked.
So you took it through NABA, and what is NABA?
The New Atlantic Independent Booksellers Association. That is our regional booksellers association. There's also a national one called American Booksellers Association.
Yes.
But NABA has been, I mean, as with all the conferences, the value of getting booksellers together from all these disparate communities and different kinds, one person bookstore to Politics and Prose or, Harvard bookstore, is that we all learn from each other. So it was great to have you focus on events. It also didn't help you understand what we are doing well.
Oh,
right?
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's so many different ways that we could be doing things. And, there's always ways to learn, and there's always ways to pat yourself on the back. Like, hey, I am doing something right,
Yeah.
And we did learn a lot. You were taking the class, but you were feeding it back to us too. And we were taking workshops here and there, when they were offered. But it was very helpful to find a way to sort of measure the success of an event.
Yeah.
And it's not a lot of it is emotional. Did it feel
Right.
good? Were the authors and the publishers nice to work with? Were
was
the
audience
community
happy? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the financial. Did we sell books? How costly was it to market it or to have the overhead and that was actually like really smart for us to start figuring out ways to, analyze what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And even though every bookstore is different, it's really good to sit out there and listen like, oh, this bookstore has been charging people to come.
Yeah.
And that was a new thing for us that we're like, okay, for the kids' events, it doesn't make sense to do that. Because as you were saying, kids get sick. Kids get,
it's too volatile.
Or I suddenly have a window. I want to come. And, but for the adult events, it has really helped us. Just charging a very minimal amount has helped us figure out how many people will actually show up. A lot of times if it's free, you'll sign up and then you just don't come.
Yeah.
If you've made
the attrition rate for free events was horrible.
It was so unpredictable.
And then we would turn away all these people who were signing up at the last or wanted to sign up at the last moment, say, sorry, it's full. And then 20% don't show up. We could have had a larger audience. Yeah.
So we ran into that so many times. And this, a very small fee helps us make sure that we're covering our overhead and we can still afford to bring in an author that maybe doesn't as a debut author and we'll bring in a small audience, but then our costs are covered and we can still support in that way. And
then give back to the people who do come.
Yeah.
Then they get and buy the book, they get a discount. So you do get something for.
Yeah. And that's a hard change to make.
That was hard.
But it is the financial reality of where we are now.
Exactly. Did talk, just occurred to me as we were talking, it was mostly for adult events, but finding partners for the authors to talk to.
Oh, yeah.
You were so great at that, Kathryn, like, pairing people up with either someone in our body of authors that we have, or asking the incoming author if they have a conversation partner, and that just broadens the whole outreach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love doing that. And it's
very
actually
good.
funny you say that because I don't know what skill that is called, and I would have loved to have put that on a resume. But I've been able to do that my entire life.
Really?
I would have been one of those good.
You're a connector.
I would have been one of those good Jewish matchmakers.
Yeah.
Except I'm not Jewish, and I don't know what what's required. But I do love doing that. I love learning more about the author and or anybody, and just sort of finding out, oh, you have this skill. That would be a great thing to talk about with this author that's coming in.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. But I do love doing that.
Yeah.
It's fun. Little matchmaking.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's good.
And also it is such a kind thing for moderators to do. And I feel like we ask a lot of our local authors.
Yeah.
Not just through the store, but through the literary festival and Open Book, Open Mind. We ask a lot of people to, could you come in and talk with this person for 45 minutes,
Yeah,
but
it's
also
called-
read this 400-page book
Yeah.
in your free
Right.
time,
Right.
and then come up
And
with
think
very
about it.
intelligent
Yes.
questions. And, it's a lot to ask of somebody.
It's a lot.
So
So
we
we're really
appreciate that
grateful.
people do
Yeah.
Because we've had authors who come in and really just present or do a quick reading and then present. And sometimes that works.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's just so much better when you're in conversation
Well,
with someone.
yeah, because fiction especially is the hardest.
Yes.
And, traditionally it was called an author reading because the author would come, actually read from the book, 20 minutes or more, and then maybe there'd be Q&A. I mean, and you could see people's eyes just rolling to the back of their head, no matter how wonderful the writing is. Sometimes it works because there's a story shorts, in the city, and that's like going to bedtime storytelling. Like,
Right.
oh, I like this. But for when an author comes to introduce their work, or it's a launch event, it's hard to just talk about it yourself. So the conversations have been great.
Right.
And nonfiction is much easier because you can hear all about their research. You can learn about the topic. There's a lot more to sink your teeth into for, a 45-minute presentation.
Yeah. And we have had those authors who come and have a slideshow with their, if they're presenting. Elaine Shalino, when she talked about Adventures in the Louvre, had a very entertaining presentation with photos of art from the Louvre. And, and I'm trying to think.
Well, and Stacey Rubis with the Oriana Fallaci book, she had it was a simple slideshow, but it was like put it in context, and it was fiction, but it was based on the reality of of female journalists in Greece and Italy. What more could you ask for?
I all this to say, I love when authors are creative too.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah, the kids authors have a lot of pressure to be creative.
Well, I always, I know. We always, so it's like, you're going to come and read your book. And then
for 2 minutes.
Right. And then we need something else from you. It's like, what creative thing do you want to bring to us?
Yeah.
Not usually. There's drawing demonstrations. There's crafts that can go with it. Discussions. It depends on the book.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely that extra component that we need
because the audience tends to be younger, right?
Yeah, the attention span's a little bit shorter, so we need to change things up. And
I know we're often approached by middle reader or YA authors to come, and those are the hardest audiences to reach. Middle readers,
I could figure it out.
I know. Middle readers, I feel like you almost need a school setting that works with, because
the children
they're
are forced.
They're too old
Auditorium.
but they're too old for the parents to bring them and too young to come by themselves. And young adults, either are total loners or they come in a pod. So if you can't get that pod,
and they're so scheduled. A lot of them also, so it's hard to.
And they also have very specific tastes. So they will, support what they like, but aren't necessarily, not that they're not open to new things, but again, it's a commitment of time. And as you say, teenagers don't have time to commit to.
Yeah. Those are cases where we know the book or the author might be good, but we really can't support an event because we know we won't get the audience we need, but that the author deserves.
That the author deserves.
And
well, that's when we reach out to some of our partners also. So
right.
The librarian.
Yeah. The library's been great because they not that they have more of an audience than we do, but I think they have more kids that come in, and so they're ready for the events, but there's less pressure to buy books because it's the library. The library people take out books, so we are there to help support the author, but it's a different kind of event at the library than it is here in the store, but that works for certain age groups a lot better.
Well, I think we're going to wrap up.
Okay.
Margot, you got any book recommendations?
Yes. So I'm very excited because this is actually an author who is coming in October. Is that right?
Yeah.
So Caroline Palmer is a new author to Montclair, or new to us. And she's written this book called Workhorse. it's actually quite a hefty book. And it's like almost 550 pages. Yeah. And I like breezed through it this summer because it was great. It was so much fun. It's it's about the fashion magazine world in the aughts, I think it is. And it's the outsider, Pennsylvania, small town outsider coming to work with all the Upper East Side show horses, and she's the workhorse. And it was great, like just the whole depiction of the debauchery of Upper East Side living in the fashion world. And I really loved the book, although sometimes I didn't like the protagonist because sometimes she didn't do good things, but you definitely went along with her in the conflict. So I'm really looking forward to meeting Caroline and having her here for the event.
Yeah, me too. How about you, Aubrey?
Coming up soon, Thomas Schlesser, Mona's Eyes.
September 25th, I think.
Okay. I kind of heard about it a little bit briefly, but then when I heard that we were going to be having an event with Montclair Art Museum, I was really excited, and I'm looking forward to reading that book.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's going to be a fun event. It's going to be great. Well, I'm going to recommend a book that I haven't read, but we had an event last night with Megan Cummins, who wrote Atomic Hearts. It's a debut novel. And she was a student of Alice Elliott Darks, who is one of our local authors and a huge fan of the store, and we're a huge fan of hers.
Exactly.
And it was such a smart and interesting conversation. And she read an excerpt from the book, and I was hooked. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And Marnie's read it, and she was recommending it. So that's one of the great things about the events too. I get to read books that I would never have. Yeah. I don't know, and we also
wouldn't have been on your radar.
Wouldn't have been on my radar.
Yeah.
So it.
Although I have
to
say, I know this. The saying goes, "Don't judge a book by its cover," but that does have a good cover, and it does pull you in. Also,
we talked a lot about the cover last night too.
I definitely judge books by their cover.
I know.
We have a whole episode on that. Yeah,
That's right. Yeah. It was a great talk. So, those are our books for now, and I love doing events with you guys. You guys are fantastic.
Kathryn's the best.
She is. Like she said, she came in for me, out of nowhere, and then just developed this whole online program, and then morphed it and grew it into this like really strong event program. And then Aubrey came in without bookstore experience. And
without Kathryn, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I mean, it's the truth.
Yeah. No, but we all, I think we all prop each other up really well. And
it's very much a team effort.
Yes.
Very much.
So we will go forward.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Kathryn. Thank you, Aubrey.
Thank you, Margot and Aubrey, for talking about event planning with me. And thanks to all the staff who really help us out. It really takes a village, and we couldn't do it without you guys. Listeners, you can find links to all the books we talked about in our show notes and at watchungbooksellers.com.
This week is packed with great events. Tonight, Tuesday, September 16th, Ben and Anne Brashears will talk about their middle grade novel, Westfallen, Into the Fire. And on Thursday, September 18th, chef and podcaster Marissa Rothkopf Bates will discuss the secret life of chocolate chip cookies. And she'll be talking with legendary baker Rose Levy Barenbaum.
And you can bet there's going to be chocolate chip cookies at that event, so you should definitely come. And then on Friday, September 19th, as Marnie mentioned earlier, Bobby Brown will launch her memoir, Still Bobby, at her home away from home at 18 Label Studios. Next Wednesday, September 24th, we welcome Jean Hannah Edelstein to share her memoir, Breasts, A Relatively Brief Relationship.
And then Thursday, September 25th, we're so excited to welcome French author Thomas Schlesser for the English edition release of his bestseller, Mona's Eyes. Plus, our partners at the Montclair campus of L'Alliance, New York will be hosting a special pre-event wine tasting with the author for museum and L'Alliance members.
You can get details and purchase tickets for all these events through our newsletter, show notes, or at watchungbooksellers.com.
The Watchung Booksellers Podcast is produced by Kathryn Counsell and Marnie Jessup, and it's recorded at Watchung Booksellers in Montclair, New Jersey. The show is edited by Kathryn Counsell, and original music is composed and performed by Violet Muika. Research and show notes by Caroline Shurtleff. Thank you to the staff at Watchung Booksellers and the Kids Room for all their hard work and love of books.
And thank you for listening. If you enjoy the show, please like, follow, and share it. You can follow us on social media at Watchung Booksellers. And if you have any questions or ideas, you can reach us at wbpodcast@watchungbooksellers.com.
We'll see you next time. Until then, for the love of books, keep reading.